How's it? So we're here with Alex today from Volopa. A Cinderella story, if I've ever heard one, going from startup to IPO. But Alex, tell us a little bit more about that.
I suppose it is a bit of a Cinderella story, and I suppose it's taken a grind to get to that stage. But we're not too far away from an IPO. So, I mean, Volopa, look, we're owned by a group called Quantum Group, which anyone in the institutional world probably has heard of. They are a sort of a fintech incubator that has sort of several companies that they own and support. Volopa basically being I suppose, the golden child and the real revenue driver to the success. So I mean, we that journey sort of started back in 2011 with a major restructuring basically happening just before COVID, certainly for Volopa, whereby we moved from very much a consumer-focused product into a B2B product. And then since that sort of COVID time, we've seen exponential growth basically in not only our product and capabilities, but obviously our revenue and our clients, which has now really led to us getting to sort of that pre-IPO stage. So we've not been funded by private equity, unlike a lot of tech companies. We're very much being funded by our investors and their sort of high net worths and family offices, to which actually we are now sort of closing that round of investment off and really moving into that institutional phase of investment, with the hope that we are going to be IPOing sort of back end of next year, sort of next 18 months. So really exciting times at the moment, and the buzz around the place is, everyone's really much ready to get to that stage and all pulling that direction.
Beautiful, man. That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, no way.
Beautiful. So for founders out there sitting wondering what exactly this is, how exactly are you taking the boring out of old banks?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Volopa, we've actually been around since 2011. We actually started up originally as a sort of a foreign exchange broker for the consumer world, and then actually moved into the consumer cards. We're actually one of the first sort of people in that sort of market of it all. But sort of as time went on by, we had a big reset, sort of pre-COVID basically, where we sort of started to shift our focus more towards that B2B sector. So really what we were looking to fill a gap in the market was to provide a sort of an all-in-one platform where finance teams, business owners, people that can actually just log in and pretty much manage anything they want within their financial world. A lot of people will have to use several different platforms, things like that, to actually manage these things. And we want to try and provide something that people can go to a single spot and do it all at once. So currently we have two major products. So we have our prepaid card and expense management side of the platform. So it's ultimately there to take away sort of those out-of-pocket expenses, chasing up your employees to ask where that receipt was, what this expenditure was for, which always takes a huge amount of time. So we've built a really comprehensive program whereby people can issue out cards, set spending limits. They can integrate it into their accounting system. The cardholders are taking pictures of receipts on the go, and really looking to cut down that sort of time, empower their employees in terms of what they can spend on, and actually really provide that visibility on it all. The other side of where we really excel is obviously on our foreign exchange side of things. So we live in a global world. Obviously, it's quite topical now with all the tariffs going on about people purchasing from abroad and things like that. But ultimately, a lot of businesses are purchasing or abroad, or I've got employees abroad, so they need to make payments abroad. So for us, it was to try and provide a very slick product whereby people in a couple of clicks can make a transfer abroad in a sort of a clear an easy way to understand about what they're being charged and how and where it's all been going to in a speedy fashion. So, for instance, our payments are same day. The traditional banks, you could be taking up to 3 days plus, and if it all goes missing, sometimes you haven't got anybody to talk to fix it. So, I think really where we've hit a big niche in terms of bringing this product to market is actually also how we treat our customers as well. So back in the day, everybody knew their bank manager. You can pick up the phone and talk to them pretty much in this modern day world, you don't really get that old school service. It's chatbots. It's 3-day waiting times for your email to come back. For us, our customers are our focus. Any customer of ours probably has 3 points of contact they can contact with. So whether that's an issue with their card they've got to deal with, or trying to sort out a payment, what we really wanted to do is provide a mixture of that new technology in the world and then mix that in with the old school banking mentality where you've got that relationship with the people looking after your money. And so far, it's been successful, and we'll continue to drive in that direction and that focus as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, that sounds brilliant. So essentially, this is for a business owner who's transacting in multiple currencies, effectively bringing to the business the kind of ease of transactions that you typically just have with personal accounts these days.
Yeah, look, I think everyone knows sort of the likes of Revolut and Monzo and things like that. I think for an everyday sort of person, a multi-currency card or somewhere you can send payments abroad, that market in the personal side has been really well captured. Revolut, I think they've been recently valued at sort of 40 billion. They've got their banking license. Monzo have had a similar sort of trajectory. But those same sort of technologies where personal clients are being really well looked after from a technological point of view, it's about trying to provide that actually into the business world. And, there are plenty of providers out there who can provide you foreign exchange. There's plenty of providers out there who can provide you prepaid cards. There's not many people trying to provide you an all-in-one service to it all. And that's really what we want to try and achieve as people. So you're not having to have 5 different services to try and go somewhere. You've got one single login and, you've got it all there. I suppose kind of think of Microsoft. Microsoft, you've got Office, Excel, and you've got various different sort of bits and pieces in the ERP system. It's kind of like adding that towards predominantly sort of business owners and finance teams.
That sounds like a massive mountain to climb. What was the moment where you went, this is what we're going to do. This is going to transform us from like a phone email to a powerhouse platform?
I wouldn't say there's one single point in it all. I think we always had that underlying technology from the consumer side. And I think from what we were looking at is that market was getting very much condensed and you need a huge amount of money to make impacts into that. What we did see is that there wasn't really many people there doing it within the SME market. Or if they were, they're at the early stages. And we already had a lot of technology in place. So for us, it was a case of, I suppose, moving our product into that space and changing our roadmap to actually align with what that market wanted. A lot of our product development, in fact, most of our product development is very much led by our clients. So we work on the feedback from our clients. We actually get them involved as well in the early stage processes of when we look to bring a new product to market. And the whole point of that is that we can actually, when we come to market with the product, it's actually something that what people wanted. And it's actually the ideas and the feedback has come back from the people who are going to use it, which you certainly find in a lot of the tech world. People have a 5-year roadmap and then this is what it's going to look like. And for us, it's about having that agility to actually steer that direction. So I would say there's been sort of many light bulb moments. I'm sure anybody who's got to start being involved in startups, it's a journey, right? And things evolve and change over time, and obviously internally and externally. And due to sort of those clients and those feedbacks that you're getting, that's where you start seeing where the opportunities come from. So, I mean, to give you an example. On our card platform, originally it was a case of load the platform, load the money onto the cards, and here's an Excel report for you. We actually, using the feedback from our clients and seeing where the market was going with it all, we started partnering with sort of major accountancy brands like Xero, QuickBooks, Microsoft Dynamics, so we can have a direct integration into that. And ultimately that sort of changed where our focus was. So whereby beforehand we were worried about the cardholders, actually, we were thinking, well, actually, no, it's the finance teams, the people who are going to be logged on this every single day, is how do we make this product better for them? And that was a massive upgrade to what we had in our technology, and it resulted in a significant increase into our sales from it all. And again, like I said, that was just purely down to the feedback that we were getting from clients. which is that's where the learning comes from. The people who use it for it.
I love that. Yes, understanding your ICP. It's not necessarily the person that's going to be swiping the card. It's the person that's going to be telling the other guy that he
Yeah,
needs to use this system to swipe. So
precisely.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think guys, I think when it comes to the user side, yes, I think everybody loves the fact that you can. I've got money on a card and I don't have to go and fill out an Excel spreadsheet and keep the receipts in my pocket and everything like that. But I think on the whole, people are using it just to spend it. So the people who are actually using it every single day, that's probably where our target market needs to be focused on. And that's what we've done.
awesome. Obviously, like I would think one of the big kind of milestones that you hit was getting involved with the Aston Martin F1 team. Like, how did you get introduced to that? How did that partnership
Yeah.
evolve?
So we have men of sales channels, right? So we obviously have our internal sales team. We're making outreaches and things like that. Obviously we have marketing in place, but a big thing that we've tried to build on is actually our partnership programs. And there's plenty of people out there who know customers who might be interested and may have a good fit to the sort of technology that we have. And I think when you come to a startup where money is tight, looking at those partnerships are always a really good way of attracting big clients in there, because you may not have the brand awareness, but obviously you can get the word of mouth through it all. So that's kind of where that came from. The Aston Martin account came through. From that point of view, it was very much trying to work with those clients. So for us, yes, we have our out the box solutions, and that's what people do you sort of buy from us on a day to day basis. But when you're looking at sort of big organisations like that, and they're obviously in countries all over the world throughout the year, we really look to try and build a bespoke sort of, I suppose, set up for them, and really just sort of listen to their feedback into it as what they need as a company, and ultimately trying to implement that within our systems as well. We are constantly in dialogue with them. We have an open Teams chat, so we're messaging every single day, and it's coming with their feedback. We're always trying to make it better for them. And I'd like to think that was probably the big thing that really encouraged them to come and use us, because ultimately that sort of personal service, especially when it comes to sort of payment side of things, is hard to come by. And I think if you couple that with the personal introduction that we had, it builds a lot of confidence around the relationship. And so far, so good with them. And we're all Aston Martin and F1 supporters now.
100%, yeah. Alonso Stroll, like they're going to be scoring some points this season. It has to come at some point, right? Um, yeah, but it also seems like a match made in heaven. They're a UK-based company. You are like, yeah, they're around the world, like, or their whole crew is around the world, like traveling. I think they're now doing 24 weeks.
So it's something like that, isn't it?
It's
It's a
ridiculous.
big season, right? It's a big season. Look, obviously, they're a way more established brand from us, but certainly when you talk to those guys there, the amount of money getting invested into that team, they're almost, I wouldn't call them a startup in F1, but in terms of what it sounds like, what they're trying to achieve, they want to be up at with the big boys like the Red Bulls and the Ferraris and things like that. Yeah, it sounds amazing what those guys are doing over there. So being a part of it, even in a small way, is I suppose being a bit of a privilege. And yeah, we're really lucky to have them as a client.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, how did that warm introduction start? Was it just the sales team reaching out? Was it a friend of a friend? Or usually people kind of
Yeah,
like to hear that story.
yeah. I mean, as I say, we have a partnership program, and within that, we deal with individuals who have relationships with these clients, whether that's because they've dealt with them before, whether it's personal contact, whether it's their own client base, but they're looking to monetize from it all. So this particular introducer has been, they've already introduced a client to us beforehand. It was a very large airline, and we've been servicing them for about 3 or 4 years now. So he had the confidence in us in terms of what we can deliver. And so it was about, obviously, first of all, proving that. And obviously from there, he said, well, okay, we've got this other opportunity in Aston Martin. So it's a case of him then introducing us to the financial director there, which anybody who's done any outreach knows it's very difficult in large organisations to get in touch with those very top people. And that sort of relationship that we had with them obviously allowed us to open the door to have a very warming approach to that individual. And obviously from there it developed, which well, now we're obviously a fully fledged member of our customer of ours.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like it comes down to just delivering, like hitting that level of excellence. Because if you didn't do such a stand-up job for the airline, like the next opportunity wouldn't have come.
Yeah.
So it's just making sure that everything you deliver, like every touch point is maximized, because you never know when the next opportunity is going to come up. And if you kind of lowball one client, like that can have a snowballing effect that you never notice.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think certainly when it comes to the world of startups, when these big opportunities come along, you've got one chance to make an impact on it. You know, we're not a multi-billion pound company that, you know, if
Not yet.
you lose that one opportunity, you know, when you're a startup, it could have a potentially very long-term effect on your revenues and what you're trying to produce. You know, with the airline, that actually allowed us to do a lot of development work, improving our platform off the back of their feedback, knowing that the carrot at the end of it is that we're going to get a significant increase in our revenues off the back of it all. And off the back of that development, it allows us to then go after other clients with those improvements. So, yeah, it's like you said, it's about when you've got those opportunities, you've got to perform, and you've really got to put the hours in, and just making sure that what you're delivering is exactly what the client wants, and that they are happy with it all. Yeah.
Beautiful. Then let's shift a little bit. Let's shift gear a little bit. Tell us about some of the nightmare issues that usually arise with payment problems. Obviously, that you kind of solve. But do you have one of those moments that kind of stand out where you went, if this person was just using our system, that wouldn't have happened?
So from an example of when a client's just had issues or issues that we've had to deal with,
Let's go with the
been a few
client.
of those, that's for sure.
Let's go with what you had to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, let's just use the example of the airline again. Like, so without getting too nerdy around payments, actually, when you pay for something from your card, there is various different types of payments that you can go through. I mean, the obvious ones that everybody knows about is contactless and chip and pin. Those probably have been around a bit longer than I have will probably remember things like swipe and sign. Back in the day, we had to swipe your card and sign it, which is no longer allowed in Europe, but certainly is allowed still in places like America. So, I mean, the big issue that we had, actually an issue with the airline, is because of these different various payment types, some of these are no longer really used at all in the UK and Europe, but other parts of the world, they're very much being used. And by default, because of the security reasons of it all, we've had these types of payments switched off. So once we start seeing this massive explosion of volume going through our cards and they spent all over the world, we're seeing a lot of declines coming through. And we're like, sort of, this isn't good. Why is it all declining? Obviously, you've got the client on the phone going, hi, I'm stuck in Timbuktu trying to spend on my card and it's not working. And yeah, there's nothing worse than that when you were abroad and your card's not working. So yeah, we obviously had to do a lot of analysis around that. And the challenge there was, how do we make these payments available to the client so they can actually spend in those countries, but also do it in a way that protects us from sort of fraud and things like that. To swipe and sign, there's a huge amount of fraud that goes through that. There's a thing where manual key entry, where someone's literally punching your card number into their card terminal, which again could quite easily be written down, and next thing you know it, you've got 10 orders coming off Amazon which you haven't made. So yeah, it was just really looking at a solution, how we can actually make those things available, but also make it in a fashion whereby the client is safe and not going to get limited on fraud, and and obviously are happy as well. So yeah, we actually managed to succeed to that, and again, it was another, as our business has grown, it's been a great bit of development work because, for instance, Aston Martin travel all over the world, so we now have all these features that, these are no longer really major issues for us anymore. Yeah, that's probably one of the most memorables I can think of when we had to overcome recently.
Also, yeah, it reminds me, like, Back in the day, I'm pretty sure I just saw this in movies where they they scratch the front of a credit card to get your number, and then you sign something, and then
Yeah,
they use
yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, that really
Hopefully, they don't do that anywhere in the world anymore.
nowhere I've been, and I hope not, because that really is going back some time. I mean, interestingly, America, for obviously, or it being the biggest economy in the world and things like that, actually from a payments side of things, is actually one of the most backwards places in the world. Ultimately, because it's a state system, so there's different rules for different states. So you can go into one place and then everybody's using swipe and sign and having to sign the check to get everything signed off, and then you go across into the next state. It doesn't exist, so it's a very complex system over there. And yeah, so you kind of have to navigate it a little bit. But
Awesome. What would the one piece of advice? Obviously, you've dealt with a bunch of different things from different companies. What's the one piece of advice you would give a founder who's sitting at the moment with someone in traveling to different countries? What's the one piece of advice that you wish everyone knew about payments?
certainly, if you're talking about internationally, don't use a bank. Your banking is fantastic for holding your money. You know, they may even pay you a little bit of interest on your money. But if you're looking for a way of sending money, it's going to be slow and it will also be expensive. I mean, to give you an example on the international payment side, you could end up paying 3% on your international payments. And certainly when you're a startup, every penny counts. So I think that's super important to look at those payment fees. And actually, more importantly, these fees are normally hidden within the margin. So normally when we talk to a new client from a foreign exchange side of things, we're looking to basically look at a recent payment they've done, and we can see where the market was at that point in time and how much, what rate they got on that particular transaction, and you can work out the margin from there. And from that point of view, we can show you the savings side of things at all. I think also if you're just founding and starting up, you need the ability to have visibility about what's going on, and you need the ability to have control over things. I think platforms like ours give you that. We're a very cost-effective way of founders to actually control the spending that's happening within their company, whether that's through the card or whether that's through payments being made abroad. And certainly for us in the future, or in the near future, actually, how your invoices are being charged, being made as well. So look at those fine prints that you get for the banks, because those costs are in there, even though you don't realise it. And there's a much better technologies out there which can help support your banking. It's not about replacing your banking; it's about supporting it, and that's how we see ourselves.
Fantastic. And so where do you, like, if I am a business owner, I have obviously my money is in my bank. I have loans in there. I have maybe venture capital in there. How do I use your system? Is it I transfer a certain section of money across, which is then available on the system that you can manage, or does it link to the bank? How does that
Yeah.
come
So
together?
it's a good question, right? So we have our own virtual IBAN accounts. There's 17 different currencies that you can hold money with us in, which is great. So you could obviously fund that either from a third party, and then use those funds to make an international payment, or load the wallet in our prepaid cards dashboard. There is that option. In terms of the prepaid cards and actual just doing straight payments, so we've got two options. We've got what we call a manual push fund, which is basically just a straight bank transfer. So each client of ours has their own segregated account. We don't hold client funds. They're actually held away in a bank in custodian accounts. So they can make a transfer into that. And actually, if they've made a transfer into that, it is an instant payment into us. So it will arrive on the platform straight away. The other option we've got is open banking. It was a new feature that we brought in last year, and we basically allows us to connect our system to their bank. So ultimately, if they wanted to load their wallet up because they need some more money on their cards, they can fund it via open banking, and again, the funds arrive almost instantaneously onto it all. So there's multiple ways that you can load and use our platform, and we're trying to make it as flexible for people as possible. So giving multiple options hopefully caters for everyone's needs.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, it seems like it's seamless. I mean, 14 different currencies. I don't think, like, Aston Martin would probably be there, the airline. I don't see there's a lot of other companies that would need 14 different. So you would be able to cater for 99% of businesses out there.
Yeah, I think just on those 14 currencies, those are the 14 currencies that can be held in the wallet and the card. The card actually, because we're a MasterCard program, the card can be spent in pretty much any currency you can think of. And ultimately, what happens is, let's just say we took a trip to Dubai and we wanted to buy in dirhams. It's not a currency that we can hold on our card. What happens is that the pounds that we're holding on our card will just convert to the dirham at point of sale. At the same sort at the Mastercard Rails rate, which is very similar to obviously the rate that we charge for our foreign exchange anyways. It does make things very seamless for people that they can go spend like a local anywhere in the world with one card and not really have to worry about currency movements and things like that going on with it. We've also got the ability to fund it in 3 different currencies. Multi-currency bank accounts are fairly common. People are taking revenues in different currencies. So we've made it available that you can fund it in pounds, euros, dollars. So a card really allows you as well then to navigate away from sort of cost of currency conversion as well and still use our system.
That is beautiful. Jeez, it feels like you're on a movement that's going to take over the world. Just in terms of, yeah, I don't think people understand how much, for lack of a better word, how much banking is taking advantage of their ignorance.
100%. I mean, well, banking's been around for hundreds of years, and everyone knows and trusts and understands their bank. The world of fintech, certainly, in the payments world, relatively is a new thing. There hasn't been many people challenging the banks, and I think it's probably only sort of the last 15 years that sort of things have happened. Even just stepping away from what we were talking about, you've seen the rise of Starling in there, the rise of Revolut, the rise of the Monzos. Those guys are all challenger banks, and they're bringing the new technologies to customers, and that's ultimately where we're in that world. It's about technology is now allowing people to make far more informed decisions, have far more control over their business, and not have to rely as much on their banks to manage their company's finances. Now, I would like to say our technology allows you to do that much better than what your bank would do. They're great for, like I say, they're great for giving you loans. They're great for holding your money, maybe give you a bit of interest. But when it comes to the actual technology and those value-added services that really makes your life easier, companies like Volopa are the ones that are providing that for customers. And that's where we certainly believe that the world is.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, and looking at the future, what does the future look like for Volopa?
Yeah. So I talked about a lot about the cards and the FX side of things. There are obviously other functionalities within the world of finance that people do that we currently we don't do. I mean, our goal is that we don't want you to leave our platform ever. You come in the morning, you log in, you're not leaving it until sort of the day is done. So big things that we've got coming up. We actually are about to launch file uploads. So those for payments. And what a file upload basically allows you to do is, if you've got hundreds or thousands of payments that you need to make. So a good example is payroll. If you've got 500 employees, for instance, and you've got to make a payment run, traditionally you're doing this through a bank. It's a lot of work to get it all sorted out into the bank. You're probably going to be paying it through backs, which can take 3 days to happen for the payment to go through. What we've now allowed it to happen on our platform is people have a drag and drop file upload that they can do in multiple different currencies, be able to do it through either a Swift payment or a fast payment or SEPA, whatever the local rails is for that company. And hit pay, send us the money, and all of those payments will get sent out in a matter of minutes. It's a great piece of work that the product team's done. Actually, this morning we were going through the training on it, and it looks great. Our sales team was actually, a lot of the guys came from Amex. They had this feature. And from what the feedback we had today is, this is much better than what Amex had. It's really top end stuff that the guys in the tech team have produced. The other area that we're really feeling we need to fill a gap in is in that invoicing side, paying your local supplier, whatever else it may be. We're in the process at the moment of developing an invoice management system on our platform. So you can just scan the invoice on the platform. You can send a link to the supplier to confirm their payment details. and a couple of clicks, you can pay that invoice out and have all the reporting from it all from the system. So yeah, for us, we started off with a card business and an FX business, but for where we're taking things are, we want to cover every functionality that a finance team or a business owner needs to do, and give it to them all in one spot.
That sounds revolutionary. Like I'm sitting thinking about the implications of all of that. Like obviously there's a ton of work ahead, but I believe you're making huge strides with it and it's not that far in the future as one would expect.
No, it's not far at all. Batch payments comes out probably next week. We're hoping to get the invoice management sorted out by sort of August time. Um, you know, Volopa as a company, certainly from a technological side, it's a big shout out for the guys in the tech team. They punch well above their weight. We're not sat here with hundreds of developers developing this stuff. It's a small, really high skilled team of guys that are bringing this stuff out. So, when we come back to our product guys, we're saying this is what the clients are doing. The tech guys are delivering it, and they're delivering it in a good time. We're not taking years to do this stuff. We're taking months. And speed is the key when it comes to technology. It's always evolving, and somehow I don't know how they do it. They're keeping up with it. So good on them.
Awesome. Yeah, it seems like quality over quantity. Like if you have the right people.
100%. And I think that's any advice to founders is exactly that. You can do a lot of very good things with a small amount of very highly skilled people. And that's certainly in the world of startups, overheads, cash flow is so important. Investing into those people and making sure you've got the right people with the right skill sets at the beginning makes a big difference into what you can do from a growth perspective.
Beautiful. So I know we can talk about, like, I didn't think payments could be this interesting, but like you've taken that whole idea and just shoved it out the window. Like we can talk about this forever, but I'm thinking let's kind of wrap it up. If there's a business owner out there loving everything he's hearing at the moment, like how does he reach out to you? How does he make contact? How does he get his Volopa account?
Yeah, sure. So our website is www.volopa.com. So it's VOLOPA.com. All the information is on there about what we do. There's some client videos as well, so see how those guys have found it. You can book a demo through us there, or you can sign up to it all. If not, reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Alex Lampert, so hopefully you'll be able to find me on there. And me and the team will be more than happy to talk you through what we can do for you.
Fantastic. Alex, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real amazing adventure and a conversation. Like I learned so much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me, and much appreciated. Have a great day.
Same to you, bud. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Have a good one.